Okay, we are recording. So just to say that if you don't want to be on the recording, please do turn off your camera, change your name by hovering over the three dots and selecting rename. We will be saving the chat for our records as well, just so you know. So if you want anything to be redacted, please let me know afterwards. So a quick introduction for those of you that don't know me, and I'm going to try and post some links in the chat as well while I'm at it. My name's Anne-Marie Pope. I'm the coordinator at Social Farms and Gardens for the Welsh CSA cluster. Whilst I am spieling, I've got a couple of forms that you could very usefully fill out. I'm going to post them in the chat now. There we go. So one's an enrolment form and one's an equal ops form. They're very quick. It's your name and your details, but we do need them if you wouldn't mind. That would be great. And you can do that while I'll tell you a little bit about Social Farms and Gardens. Social Farms and Gardens is a UK-wide organisation, and we provide expert advice, support and a free membership scheme to support communities to grow in sustainable ways. Here's a link. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, Maggie, can you put a link to join our membership in the chat, please? It's not a link. How terrible. We support almost 1,000 strong movement of community growing organisations. That's allotments, community gardens, community orchards, CSAs, Keep Wells Tidy Food Growing Gardens, Incredible Edibles, Controlled Environment Agriculture, City Farms, Edible Playgrounds in Wales. And in Wales, we run the Community Land Advisory Service, which you can also access from the Farm Garden website. There's lots of resources and webinars available on the website. There is more available to members, and it is free to join. So if you're not already a member, please do join up. Our big projects at the moment is Resilient Green Spaces. We've had rounds of support for allotments, food hubs and orchards. And we've got more coming up for allotments and orchards. And we're partnered with organisations like the Open Food Network, Land Workers Alliance, Cardiff University, Gwynedd Council, Shared Assets and Lantra's Tuffy Cymru. This specifically is a CSA session. So this is for CSA support, and we offer some resources, these kind of sessions, newsletters, which some of you will have had, and we can send you a link to sign up to those if you'd like to. We also do one-to-one sessions. So I'm currently doing some of those with Rob, who's in here. Give us a wave, Rob. There we go. And we also give certain specialist planning advice and resources through Lucy at the Community Land Advisory Service as well. There are some certain processes that we have to go through, but if you do want some CSA specific advice, do please get in touch. We're partnered with Tuffy Cymru to run the CSA support in Wales, and Sarah DeMay is here. Give us a wave, Sarah. And Tuffy Cymru, run by Lantra, work with the commercial horticulture sector in Wales. Tuffy Cymru also have a huge amount of project resources that are open access on their website. They have various networks as well for edibles and ornamentals through lots of networks, pumpkin and squash, soft fruit, vegetable seed and future farmer. And there's lots and lots of webinars and videos on the website. And again, it's really useful for you to sign up to get tailored training via their business review. There is the Tuffy Cymru Knowledge Hub. There's a link there. And if you want to, you can search for their business review on the website. If you want any support with the business review through Tuffy Cymru, you can get in touch with me. My email's going in the chat. Sarah, did you want to say anything else?
Oh, you caught me off guard then with my mute button. No, I think you've covered everything. Like Anne-Marie said, please do get in touch. You know, Anne-Marie or myself or one of our team can help support with the business review, and do look at the Knowledge Hub. It has loads of information on there. Thanks.
And of course, there's also the UK CSA network. So again, you can join them as a member. That does cost, but they have lots of support and resources on there as well. So that's all information from you. So have you all completed those equal opportunities and enrolment forms? Half, a little bit. You can keep the link up and finish them later. That would be great. Right, so we're here to talk about members, and we're here for you to share your experiences. I just wanted to set the scene a little bit before we kind of opened up. So CSA, you've got your membership. you presumably know them as they either come to pick up their veg boxes or you deliver to them. So you know them individually, but do you know who they are as a group? Do you do any data collection? Do you know any commonalities between them, their values, their culture? Do you know what their expectations are? Is it just a veg box? Is that it? Or do they want more of a relationship with you? Do they want a friend? Do they want to volunteer? Do you know their expectations? If you don't know their expectations, you don't know if they're changing, you don't know if you're meeting them. And if you don't communicate and keep records, then you're not able to deliver and exceed their expectations. So, for instance, I know some people do membership newsletters, and I know that some people have had revolt from some of their members that there's too much paper in the boxes. So, you know, those kinds of things I'm thinking about there. So, yeah, communicating with your members and managing those expectations, recognizing any signs of change externally and internally as well. So I'm sure, you know, the pandemic will have affected your CSAs. You can have fun with looking at this as well, you know, make it a fun activity. You might think, oh God, I'm gonna have to look at my members and maybe do some feedback with them, but, you know, get out pens and paper, get out some crayons and coloring pencils and think about your members' journey. You know, what are their, it's commonly called moments of truth, and also akin to kind of funnels on social media journeys that you may have familiarity with. At what point do they access you and your services? And how are they true to your organization's vision and values and culture? Are you being truthful through all of those points of contact with your members? Right. That's enough from me, thank goodness. What I'd like to do is just nominate, I'm going to nominate somebody to just say a little bit, very shortly, I have to say, because we've not got long, but I think it's useful and it is about you. Your name, your organisation, how many members you've got, how long you've been in operation, any fluctuations on membership, and your current position and why you're here today. Sure, you probably haven't got all of that. But let's start with name, organisation, membership, and why you're here today. I'm going to pass to Bob and Nina. And then Bob and Nina, if you could pass on to somebody else, that'd be great.
Okay, so I'm currently under the weather with COVID, so forgive me. Nina of Fruitdechnai Kilgarran Fruit and Nut Community Garden. We've been operating now, this is our second year, and we were given initially a grant from Keep Welsh Tidy, which set us up to start with, giving us fruit trees, bushes, all kinds of things, and things to make raised beds with. The site was, do you want to know this? It was originally, back in the 60s, it was a tennis court. So we're dealing with tarmac, quite half of it is like tarmac from that. So the raised beds are important. And what else do I need to say?
I was just going to wonder, Nina, why you're here today. What brought you to this session today?
Right. Well, really, it's to try and get ideas how to engage the community. Really, we've decided that maybe the way is to run events. So we've just run a family Easter fun event. But yes, it's sort of gaining volunteers, really. People will come to an event, but not necessarily engage with the garden itself and progressing the garden. So I'm looking for ideas.
So this is mainly focused around CSA. So a lot of the stuff we'll talk about today, I'm sure, will be related to CSAs, but actually a lot of the principles, I'm sure you'll find useful to apply, Nina. Okay. Nina, do you want to nominate someone else?
How about Tony?
There we are, found my unmute button. Hi, I'm Tony Little. I've been involved in one way or another with CSAs for quite a long time now. Mostly it's actually been around helping and supporting CSAs. So I was a director at the CSA network for a while. I worked with Social Farms and Gardens indeed for a while, but specifically helping and supporting CSAs in Wales. I was a director of Tortha Tir, which is known to some of you for a few years ago. But actually, I think my main contribution to what I can bring today is just a broad overview, and I'm familiar with a lot of the experiences of CSAs right across the UK and how they've approached membership. So that's what I can offer you today. And I'm going to pass to Wade.
Right. Okay. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Wade Muggleton. I'm the secretary of the Marches Apple Network. We're not a CSA as such. We're more of a sort of orchard, organisation. But we've been going for 29 years. We've got a couple of orchards in Wales. And really, I think what we've got a huge body of information and knowledge and expertise now. But what we've slightly failed to do as an organisation is kind of engage a new generation. So we're all sort of getting on a bit without a kind of succession generation. So I'm just looking at ways we could integrate with other organisations, work with volunteers more, get some ideas and things like that, really, which is why when I saw this, I sort of thought I'd tune in today. Shall I nominate somebody else, Robert?
Hi, yeah, so my name's Rob. I'm currently setting up a CSA, Cyfelen CSA at Morriston Hospital in Swansea. I'm right at the beginning of the whole process, just securing a lease on the field. So membership is 0 at the moment, but plans are for our first share offering which is more than likely to be May or June 2023, to try and get 50 households on. And yeah, I'm here today just I guess, yeah, general discussions around membership, particularly because in Swansea, we've got quite a lot of CSAs concentrated in the same area. So also consideration about demand for those shares as well. And if I'll nominate Julie and Alma.
Hello. So we're Julie and Alma, and we are the growers at COCA, short for Kyrie's Organic Community Agriculture. And I believe it's actually the first CSA in Wales, isn't it, Tony? So it's running on its 11th year, I think. We just started as growers here from January on, and we're sort of coming into a quite stagnated membership, if you can call it that. We've been losing quite a lot of members over the winter, and I think that happens quite regularly, but at the moment it's sort of lower than it's ever been. And so we're obviously desperate to get new members. Yeah, and I think it's also a question about now we got all these food hubs popping up along, and what does that do to the CSA model? Does people just want to click and order their veg, or do they actually want to be a part of the farm as you are in a CSA? So we're just very excited to talk more about this topic. We need to nominate someone. Who is not Eleanor?
Hi, yes, I'm Eleanor. I'm the trustee of Gerthybo Dyfi Gardens in Machynlleth. It's community gardens. It's been going about 12 years. We're not a CSA. I'm not sure if this is the right place for me to be here. It's interesting listening to you all. We're becoming developing into being a community interest organisation. We're just getting more kind of formal in our organisations to enable us to get more funding, basically. And so we're sort of opening up to having a sort of signed up membership, which we've never had. We do a newsletter, we do Facebook, we've got a website. We've got a lot of support in the community, and we have volunteers who come and garden with us, but it's a wildlife garden and diversity. We do grow some veg, but the volunteers eat them and people come and help themselves. It's not an organised thing. So we're more about, we've got a board of trustees, but how to involve membership more in decision making about where we go in the future. So I will nominate Mike. I don't think you've been yet.
Hi, I'm Mike McCann. I'm a member of Kevin Gola Together in Tredegar. It's a charitable incorporated organisation. We have a community garden that I've been working on, and we're about to take ownership. There's some land transfer in process. We want to set up sort of an allotment area because it's quite a large parcel of land that we are going to come into. Similar theme as with everyone else, raising volunteers. You know, getting more volunteers in is absolutely essential at the moment. At present, I'm the only person working in the community garden, but obviously the community garden is just, you know, it's only a garden for behind a domestic house, and we will have a larger parcel of land, and we need more people to come in and work on it. Who hasn't? Robin. You're still muted, Robin.
Yeah, you need.
Sorry about that. CSA, what is it? That tells you where I am on the journey here.
I had to look it up, Robin.
Go on, tell me, who knows what a CSA is? I'm serious question.
It's called a community supported agriculture, but
community supported agriculture, right? Okay.
Right. I didn't know either.
I'm a community councillor in Sully and Lavernock Community Council, which is right down on the coast between Penarth and Barry. And I was elected about a year ago in a by-election. For better or worse, I've been returned unopposed this time round, so I'm free to talk about things. The chair asked me to take over the broad mantle of rewilding, and I'm including that things like allotments and all the rest of it, because as we all know, if you plant a runner bean plant, you'll get bees on the flowers. So it's all part of that diversity mix, or diverse fauna mix that I'm trying to work my way towards. Engaging with the community is obviously going to be a key part of that, which is why I want to tap into the wisdom and experience of others, which is why I'm here today.
Robin, do you want to nominate?
Oh,
Please.
sorry. Who are we? Who's left? Bernard. Mike, you've been. Sarah, have you been? Sarah, you're muted.
I spoke on behalf of Tubby. Should we go to Claire?
Okay, sorry. Yeah, sure.
Hi, everyone. So I basically volunteer at a community garden, which was it's for a organization, FAN, which is local. Essentially, we've converted a back lane into a community garden. It's become quite diverse over the last year. We've installed a wild meadow. I've just completed a forest gardening course through the Orchard Project, and we've just installed a forest garden. And I'm just looking at getting more information so that I can try and take the garden forward.
Claire, could you put some details about that course, because I'm interested in establishing an orchard myself. So if you could put something in the chat about that.
Yeah, sure, not a problem. I'll find it for you. No problem.
Claire, do you want to nominate? We've only got a couple left.
Okay. Let me see the participants. Can I choose the other Claire? There's two Claires. Has the other Claire spoken?
The other Claire is part of COCA as well. I can't see her anywhere.
I'll
Claire
say hello.
Broom- oh, there we go.
I am listening. I'm also eating my lunch at the same time because I'm working today. But I think you've said everything that you needed to say. Thank you very much, Julie and Alma. But I am listening in if that's all right.
Great, thanks, Claire. Shall we have Valerie then? And then Maggie.
Sorry, I was so late. I got involved with doing other stuff. I don't actually have, I have my own garden and I do no dig gardening and so on, but how I could possibly be of service to you is I run a project called Learn with Grandma, which is all about encouraging the generations to work together. And one of the ways they can work together is by growing things. And incidentally, I was a speaker at the COP, which was rather extraordinary. A chap in Malawi called Jonas wrote to me and said, I put on Facebook that I couldn't have a big party for my 80th. And he said, Grandma, we'll have a planting day on your birthday. And I thought, I love that. So I started sharing this idea on Facebook. And you won't believe it, but I've had trees now planted from Peru to Finland, from Canada to Australia, and of course quite a lot in Wales where I live. I live in the Brecon Beacons. I won't say it's gone viral, but it's certainly gone global. Learn with Grandma is an international organisation now. I started it really because when I had a triple bypass and a cardiac arrest, the surgeon said to me, what are your plans? And I said, well, I suppose I better retire now. I was then 74. And she said, no, you're the wrong type. You need a project. So this is my project. I didn't expect it to go global, I promise you. But if you want to promote what you're doing on Learn with Grandma, it's another free resource. So you can find it very easily on Facebook, Learn with Grandma Wales. And if you can't find it, my name, Valerie Wood-Gager, is unique. There's no other Valerie Wood-Gager MBE in the world. So I'm dead easy to find. And basically what I do is I try to encourage things that do bring the generations together, that are environmentally friendly. Had enormous success in many countries with girls making sanitary towels, which may not seem anything to do with the environment, but in fact it is, because ordinary towels you have to dispose of, whereas washable towels are recyclable forever, really, well, as long as they last. And then you can make some more. And if you make them out of recycled material, any soft, my gran made my first pads when out of one of her old Wincy 90s. So, you know, incredibly good for the environment, because you don't clog the drains up, as did happen in Kenya, when the government in Kenya decided to give all schoolgirls free towels. They blocked the drains within a month. But that's who I am and what I do. And if I can help any of you by promoting what you're doing, great, I'd love it.
It's very lovely to have you here, Valerie Wood-Gager, MBE. Gager, I'm so sorry, Gager.
That's all right. Everyone calls me Val anyway. So.
Val, we'll just go with Val. It's just good old Val. Maggie, do you just want to introduce yourself very briefly?
That's my logo.
I saw that, Val, looking very lovely behind you, well positioned.
It stays there. Anyway, lovely to see you, and I look forward to meeting you.
Thanks, Val. Maggie, do you just want to say a quick word about who you are, and then we'll...
Yeah, so my name's Maggie. I'm the Communications Officer for Social Farms and Gardens Wales. If there's anything social media, newsletter, that type of thing based that you need or you want sharing on our platforms, just give me a shout and I'll do what I can to help you out.
Regular social media guru is our Maggie.
And Maggie, don't forget, anything you post can go on Learn with Grandma Wales as well. It is a bit southern based because I live in the Brecon Beacons, but it is meant to be for the whole of Wales.
We shall bear that in mind, Val, and
thank
we'll get
you.
it. We'll make sure we're posting things on there. So we're all here to talk about engagement in some kind of way, and this has it does have a specific focus to CSAs and their membership, as you know. Tony, for Eleanor and Robin, and perhaps for some of the others, do you want to just give a brief précis of a CSA?
I will do, yeah. As you rightly say, CSA does stand for community supported agriculture, and really it's an idea. And what that idea is trying to do is it's trying to completely reimagine the relationship between producers and communities. So in most systems, it's a very transactional relationship. Producers produce, buyers buy, and that's it. And one of there's several issues in that. One is that actually in that relationship, all of the risk is put on the shoulders of the producer. Whatever the conditions, whatever is happening in the environment, it's essentially the producer that has to bear that cost. And community supported agriculture says, okay, let's move away from being a transactional relationship to being a partnership. Okay, so you as consumers are involved and linked to our business, and the principal idea and the fundamental thing that sets CSAs apart from anything else is that it's a partnership and a risk sharing between the producers and the consumers, and that's what makes it unique. And the way in which that happens in practice, as long as you are meeting those basic requirements, you can meet them however you like, but possibly the most common situation is where members buy a share of the produce off the farm. And the key difference there is that you pay a price per month, and the size of the share and the quality of the share and the variety of the share depends on what's happening on that farm at that time. So if you do have difficult times, if you have weathers, if you have unexpected pest and disease problems, as a consumer, you're helping to share that risk, because you're getting, you're still paying the same money, and but you're getting a different amount of product. Conversely, in the middle of summer, when you've got masses of production, huge variety, you get an enormous range and variety of value, again for the same price. It's really about thinking of as a consumer, thinking of the cost of food over a whole season rather than at just a particular moment that you're purchasing food. So I think that's all I'll say about it for now. Thanks,
Tony. That's really useful. In terms of thinking about the membership then of the CSAs and consolidating those and looking at them, Julia, I just wonder if you would say a little bit, and Claire also, and Alma when she's back. Is that the sea in the distance, Julia? I can't hear.
Hi, sorry. Yeah, we live in Solva, so we're very what's the word? Spoiled by the view.
Yeah. It's brilliant. I just wonder if you could talk a little bit about COCA's membership, and with particular regards to the membership, the journey that it's been on and where you find yourselves now.
Yeah, so at the moment, I think there's about 45 boxes that we have, 45 members, and it has been a different range of amount of members. I think the highest it's ever been is like 65 shares, yeah. And the ideal would be to stay somewhere about 50 to be able to sustain. At the moment, COCA's losing money, so it's not sustaining itself.
And do you currently, how do you engage with your members beyond the veg box transaction? What's the relationship that you have with them?
So they all come to the farm to pick up their veg boxes, but we often aren't there then. a couple of members come and volunteer on a Friday to pack the boxes, which is really nice. So we have a more of a relationship with them. And there has been, over the years, when they first started, there was way more engagement, because it was the people who started it were way more involved in the whole process. So people came quite often to volunteer and help with the growing part and the harvest and all the parts. But it's kind of fizzled out, and over the years they've had quite a problem of trying to engage members and trying to have volunteer days and have events, and nobody shows up. So that's been an ongoing thing, and we're kind of trying to work on coming up with different ideas to maybe have more like workshops or more events and meetups that are focusing on other things, or like also work a little bit but mostly also just get people on the farm first. Because
and do you think that's around the because obviously you've been there 11 years, so there have been fluctuations and there's been changes in not only what's happening locally but what's happening nationally, and do you think that's had an impact on the membership fluctuations?
Yeah, definitely. The membership went down a lot over now with Brexit and COVID. Partly
it went down.
It went down.
Everybody else went up.
Yeah, it went down. And
have you explored why that was?
Probably part of the reason is that the veg quality just wasn't that good, because we weren't able to get enough volunteers. So there just wasn't anybody to work on the farm. Kaz, who was the grower before us, he was alone with the job. And then because international people couldn't come because both Brexit and COVID, that was part of the reason.
Yeah. He was growing solely on 4 acres, right, which is quite difficult to then keep up the quality.
And did you communicate that with the existing members?
I think so, yeah. I've definitely read a newsletter from last year where that was clearly the message.
I think what I'm trying to look at is so yes, there's a newsletter that's gone out, but in going, there's the newsletter that's gone out, there's an assumption then that all of your members are going to read the newsletter and engage with it.
There's newsletters, there's also emails, there's different communication methods, but nothing seems to quite reach everybody.
Yeah, no, we reached out to set up a WhatsApp group now to have like sort of like a one-way communication from us as growers to the members, but there was just 12 or something that signed up for that, so it's just hard to rely on that as well to get messages out. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, if you see them every week, do you talk to them when they pick up the veg? We don't see them.
They very few come on a Friday when the boxes are ready. Most people come on a Saturday, on a Sunday, maybe even Monday to pick up their boxes.
So they just come and pick up?
They just come and pick up.
So there's a question here for me around how you engage with the members. Sorry, Eleanor, you were going to say something.
Well, I was going to say, you said you advertised events and nobody came. We do loads of events in our gardens because that's partly what we've got the funding for, is to reach out into the community. And the things that work for us are homemade cakes and music. You know, if you provide some good homemade cakes, and if you've got some local musicians, I know you've got local musicians in Solva, I've heard that guy. So do that. It works. Yeah.
Yeah, we had an open day earlier this spring, and actually quite many people came. So that was a positive.
And there was lots of cake.
There was lots of cake.
So isn't that interesting? That's about how you're drawing people in that first instance. So that first start of that customer journey, how you're drawing the people in and how that relates, and keeping a note and a record of that and how that might change over time. And then how you continue to engage with them. So if you've had a great opening moment with cake and music, everybody loves a bit of cake and music, then how do you continue to engage them? I wonder, Rob, if you've got any experience of this in your other work that you're doing. I know you've got the CSA, but I think actually your experience of your other work, which perhaps you could mention, might be might be useful. And please don't let this be just me asking questions and talking. Please, everybody else ask as well.
And well, I would like to make a little suggestion. Have you thought about going to the schools? Because schools have got lots of gardens which often have been abandoned. And if you could encourage the grandparents and the children to work together, it's beautiful, to see them doing it. And the children get terribly interested. They love getting their hands dirty.
Yeah. So can I just point out one of our sort of limitations is that we are just working, well, we're sharing a full-time position between the both of us. We do have to work other places, not just on the CSA. We're very, very limited on time, and we're the only people who are sort of in employment. So in terms of doing reach out work, we'll have to then compromise with actually growing vegetables. So that's our limitation. And
Always,
voluntarily.
there's never enough hours in the day. I know that feeling. But it was just a thought. I'll think some more on that one.
I was just going to come in as the chair, saying yes, we do have plans to contact schools. I am going to be contacting a school very shortly, and yes, I understand about engagement and how we should get people involved. So yeah, that is you're quite right. Is a route into people that one can volunteer, and two a set of people that may be interested in growing organic vegetables and growing our membership. So yeah.
I'm a speaker. I've been speaking at conferences for donkey's years. So if you want a speaker, I can do it on Zoom. I'm doing one this afternoon to America, but I can also physically go in Wales. So that's we might like to make a note of that.
Thank you for the offer.
Yeah, right, definitely.
So this is, we're looking at different sections of society. Can I go back to Rob? Because the other work that Rob does, I think, might be quite interesting, and looking at involving
just kind of well. Thinking a couple of points really, because I kind of know where you guys are roughly. I've been up there a couple of years ago. Where's your like closest sort of town or bigger town? Is that going to be somewhere like Haverfordwest or Cardigan? I'm just trying to place you.
Cardigan is a bit far away, but we got Fishguard and Haverfordwest.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
St. David's. Yeah. So
yeah. And they're still quite far though, aren't they? I guess.
Well, they're close enough.
Or are they a potential market?
They're a potential market.
Yeah.
And we're working on them too.
Yeah, because I've been thinking about this quite a lot, setting up my CSA about like collection and collection points, etc. And we've got like loads of CSAs all set up on Gower, where people are quite happy to drive out to them. But I'm wondering, like, I'm a bit closer to the city, and I've got places I can use as collection points in the centre, you know, and it makes sense. Like, I know that a lot of places they don't want to be driving around to different collection points, but to me, it kind of makes sense that if I could fill a van up and take it to the city centre, I'd have, I think in Swansea, nearly 300,000 people that might not be a market potentially. So certainly that's probably a good thing to think about. Going back to the outreach stuff though, have you looked at grant funding it separately? So like, as Anne-Marie was saying, I run like a indoor sort of community skate park basically in Swansea, and it's really busy in winter, pays all its bills, and then in summer when the weather's nice it goes really quiet. So what we do is we grant fund a lot of outdoor outreach work, and we use like lottery awards for all. We've just had a grant from that to cover those activities, which that came to about £10,000, and that covers us for our downtime in that business. And we'll be doing, and we've still got other applications to be decided on at the minute. So certainly grant funding in that respect's good. It's probably worth do you guys spoken to Tom and that from Kaitan much? I know Tom knows like Jared and Kaz quite well. His Kaitan have an education officer, Jessie, and she basically does that in she's employed by Kaitan, but her role is standalone from the growing. So she's not involved in that aspect, and she grant funds basically for her position to keep her project going. And she's had quite a lot of success as well. So I'm sure she'd be up for chatting about it. But I guess what that means is if you're able to grant fund that kind of work, you don't have to be working somewhere else, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And can
You
give
could
yourself a bit of
give us
time.
something to that, just because again, grant funding takes time.
Mhm.
We really aren't from the UK. We don't have the right language. We don't have much experience. Claire, our chair, is really active and helps with this too. But
Yeah.
I've been wondering if there's any support to get on grant funding. Actually have people who helps us write applications and read through grants.
Yeah, so like tomorrow I'm on it's probably a bit late now, but like I've joined up with a group called Social Business Wales. And they're like a funded, I think they're funded by the Welsh government, but they're there to support social businesses essentially. So they've been pretty good with me just for setting up my community interest company, etc. And now I'm sort of got that aspect set up. I'm moving into a bit more of the support they give around funding. So like tomorrow I'm doing like an online grant funding workshop just about how to write applications, how to look for them. There's also in Swansea, and you'd have to look what you've got around you. Like we have a group called Swansea Council for Volunteer Service, and they have a lady who's employed basically to give advice around grant funding, where to look, which applications might be helpful for your organisation. And yeah, she's been good as gold for both the skate park and the CSA that I'm setting up at the minute. Certainly worth having there. Look, and I would have thought you'd have an organisation like that around you somewhere.
And with we can certainly try and help. The more information that you can give us and email to me, I can certainly try and help. I know Tony's got his hands up, and so is Robin. Tony.
That's okay, Robin, I think you were first if you...
Sorry.
Okay,
so sorry.
Just to Yuli and Alma, check with your your local council, local borough council. They may have a source of advice for grant funding. Rob, question for you. What was the name of the organization that you referred to for grant funding? Kai?
So I probably referred to a few things. So for like grant funding,
Kaitan was the one that I kind of picked up on.
Kaitan are a CSA in Swansea, so they're an established community supported agriculture project. That I mentioned.
Are they purely local to Swansea?
Pardon?
Are they local to Swansea?
Yeah, they're on the Gower Peninsula, about
Right,
20
okay,
minutes
fair
out.
enough.
I mentioned them because they have an education program that they run alongside the CSA, but they fund it separately. So they just use grant funding for that and employ an education officer effectively who doesn't get involved in unless she wants to on a volunteer basis, in the growing responsibilities. Her role is specific to education, and I said that they grant fund that. And the other organisation I mentioned was Swansea Council for Volunteer Service, and they're the guys who offer advice around grant funding.
Right. Okay.
Tony.
Thanks.
Yeah, I just want to say something about, I mean, I widen the discussion from funding to fundraising generally. I just want to really talk about crowdfunding for a minute. And crowdfunding, I mean, a lot of people shy away from crowdfunding as a source of raising funds because it's difficult. Because normally you run this campaign and you get little bits of money from lots of people. And in terms of time spent for pounds secured, it's very inefficient. But actually, in a CSA, what you want is lots of people giving you lots of money. It's precisely what you need in terms of building a membership. So I think that crowdfunding is worth looking at because it not only secures you money, but it also is a useful potential source of members. And potentially, if you can bring them into members, then if you can secure their, whatever it is, £50 a week, £50 a month, that's in a way using the crowdfunding to secure ongoing commitment. So yeah, I think I'll just put that out there as a suggestion.
And a good one, Tony. Thanks.
One that's not been mentioned. Can I just mention Quarantake? That for the two ladies there, it's Julie. Quaranteg. I'm dyslexic, so I can't spell it for you, but somebody will, and they might be able to help you.
Say it again.
What was it called?
Quaranteg.
Quaranteg.
Are there any Welsh speakers there?
Yes,
I'm not a Welsh speaker, but
Warai. I'm not a Welsh speaker, but Warai is CHWARIE, and Teg is
AE.
I think, oh, sorry, and then Teg is TEG, isn't it? It's fair play. It's what it means.
Yes,
it's fair play. Yes, that's right. I was trying to remember that and couldn't. It wasn't coming. But it's particularly for women, so they might help.
Maggie's just posted a link in the chat for those of you that haven't got that. I just want, even if you're looking at fundraising for particular activities to bolster resources, whether that be personnel or staff, you're still going to need to have some kind of plan around how to bolster membership or engage. And I think in the first instance, that means understanding who your current members are, who you're currently engaged with. So understand very clearly who you're currently engaged with, see if there's any similarities. It may be Yuli and Alma, that, you know, it may be worth part of your time spending when people are picking up some of the boxes, going to meet them, doing some kind of survey with them through whatever format, finding out what format of communication works best for different members. We all know some people respond well to text and not to phone calls, and the opposite way around for some people. Some people never respond to emails. Some people you need to talk to. So it's just finding the right mechanism of communication. Find out who you currently have. Look at your market. So all of this should be part of your marketing plan, your marketing activity. Look at your market and where you might go to. So Rob previously was talking about, you know, he's looked at maybe having somewhere in the city centre where he might get more people to pick up veg boxes from there. Yeah, so look at your current, look at what you've got outside on your doorstep, or where you could potentially move to, and look at how you might build those bridges between the two. And that's a process and a method that will work for everybody here, community gardens or CSAs. I picked up on this 7 aspects of service. I don't know where it's come from. I will have to try and find out. But the 7 aspects of service. So in terms of retaining the membership, once you've got it, in terms of retaining your organisations, in terms of retaining your volunteers, your customers, you want to be satisfying them. And in fact, I would suggest you want to be doing more than satisfying them. You want to be exceeding what they want offered to them, and in fact maybe even delivering them something that they didn't even know that they needed until you gave it to them. That's ideal, but you're not going to know that unless you can ask those questions of them. 7 aspects of service. Access, I'll send this out afterwards as well. Access, understanding, responsiveness, courtesy, competence, communication, key, I think, always, and adequate resources, which very much falls into, I'm sure, everybody's requirements at the minute. You've got to have those adequate resources in order to deliver what you want to deliver and be understanding. And again, the access is key, isn't it? If you're a CSA serving a particular area, and Rob, in your instance, if you're serving areas and having to negotiate with other CSAs around their membership, you need to know where your access points are going to be. Tony, just we've not got very long left, but I just wondered about measuring satisfaction within an existing membership, and wondering if you had an experience of any other organisations who'd done that.
I think that it is, I mean, it's key to giving people opportunities to tell you what they think. I know that being around when people pick up veg is difficult, but if you can arrange it. I visited some CSAs in France, and they had quite a short time period, for say 2 hours, and they provided cider and whatever, and you know the growers made a point of making themselves available for those 2 hours for people to come and talk to. There's always surveys. That's you know, if you're doing lots of events or workshops, then it's always making sure there's an opportunity there for people to provide feedback. You don't have to have a formal feedback session, but you know, just prompt people and ask the right questions. Yeah, I mean, I think just take opportunities to talk to people. You know, when people do leave the CSA, you know, just say, you know, do you mind giving me 5 minutes to tell me why you're leaving? You know, it's really just finding the opportunities to talk to people and encourage them to give you feedback.
And some, I guess, as you will have found, will respond to online and phone correspondence, but it's getting to those people who don't. And I think probably, you know, that conversation, but it being within a kind of format that you can then record and reflect upon as well. And look at, you know, are you then, having looked at what you've got, looked at what you're outside, are you then matching that bridge that you want to attract? Does anybody have, we've got very few minutes left, but I just wondered if anybody had any standards or measurements that they use in their organization. So are there any kind of reviewing systems that you work with, or any standards of excellence that you might promote that help you retain or recruit? Wade.
Well, just to say that, as I said, we're not a CSA in terms of selling produce like you are, but we've got 250 members, and it is really difficult. And I think there's no one size fits all. You know, we got into MailChimp, that worked to a reasonable degree, but not everyone does that sort of thing. Some of the older generation still like paperwork formats. You know, it is, we don't do social media, but we maybe should. But I think you're not going to find one solution that fits everybody. Unfortunately, it's going to be a mixture or a cocktail of social media, email, internet, old-fashioned paper, just a mixture of things, really.
And also a continual asking. I think if I was right, Wade, that you've got this, you said you had this body of info, but you've failed to engage and integrate with other organizations.
Yeah, I think just over and I think COVID hasn't helped because 2 years of sort of nothing happening. But yeah, you know, we've rediscovered a lot of the lost apple varieties of Wales. We've got a massive sort of database of everything to do with those varieties, history, DNA, and all that kind of stuff. And we need to just sort of engage with other organizations really who are doing orchards or fruit growing, or that are interested in that kind of thing, really. So yeah, we're just sort of fishing around to see who else we might work with, you know, to give us a sort of a different dimension, really. I think after 29 years, we're maybe a little bit staid in what we do.
But you see, then that's a perfect example of looking at where you are, looking at where you want to be, and building those bridges.
Yeah.
And you are doing that. And Tony's got his hands up.
I just wanted to really build on what Rob was saying about using all the different the sort of communication channels and media. Social media is really important, but actually don't underestimate how effective local media and local press is. Also, don't underestimate how desperate they are for content. You know, they have got colossal amounts of print and radio time to fill. And CSA is interesting. It's different from what I was saying. You know, it's talking about a completely different way of doing business. So don't imagine that the local press will not be interested in what you're doing, because I'm pretty certain that actually they would. And I think the other point really is using your marketing channels to promote CSA. So it may well be that CSA is not the only thing you're doing. You may also be selling on market stalls or food hubs or whatever, and use the market stall to convert your market customers to your CSA customers and your food hubs. And I think that's really, I think that's been really effective for a lot of CSAs.
I'm going to start wrapping up, I think. we could do with this being a bit longer. I think we're getting into different things, and we could at least easily do another hour, I suspect. If you want to talk any further, please get in touch with me. My email was posted previously. Oh, hang on, there we go. I've got a link just here. There we go. Do get in touch, and we'll see if we can't continue the chat a bit further.
Could I just say, as being a dyslexic, I find it very difficult to get things off the chat and to put things on the chat. I have put Learn with Grandma's address on Facebook on there, but if you could post me the chat, then I can read it. I mean, email it. My email is my name, valwoodgager@aol.com. So it's all one word, Val Woodgager. No hyphen.
No hyphen. Okay.
At AOL.com.
Great, Val. I'll make sure we do that.
Well, one advantage of being dyslexic is your editor knows you want to know what everybody's doing.
We've only now got to...
I'm going to say bye-bye now because you're wrapping up, and I've got to go to another Zoom to America. So I'll say bye-bye, and do hope to see you on the Facebook. And indeed, if you'd like me to come and talk to your group, well, now that we're able to get out and about again, I've just spent a week away in Somerset. It's nice to do that. So bye-bye now.
Thanks, Val.
God bless. Bye.
Bye.
And I also just say, just please do get in touch if anyone has any other ideas or whatever. You'll find the email on the COCA website, and we'll get the information.
Well, that will come. Will it? Will you send that?
Yeah, I'll send all the links in a follow-up. Very quickly before, thanks Val if you're shooting off, and don't forget Val's available for speaking for you all.
I did speak at the COP. I was a bit disappointed with it, to be perfectly honest. It was not well organised. We were the last on the last day of the conference, and I got really quite cross with the guy that was in charge, but we won't talk about that because I managed to do other interviews while I was there, and even got on Scottish telly.
Very good.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Robin, did you still have your hand up?
Yeah,
before,
very quickly. Will you be putting this up, making this available online and sending us the link, the recording?
Yes, we will. Yes.
Great.
Just as a bit of a wrap up, look at your members. Look at their moments of truth, their moment at which they engage with you. What do you know, understand, or assume already? And that assumption is really important. Don't assume. You're not necessarily who you're trying to engage with. So put yourself in their position. So you could either pretend you're a doctor and diagnose what's wrong, or somebody once said, gave me an exercise that was write a letter to a friend. So write a letter to your organization as if you are a friend, and tell your organization what you need to do, which sounds odd, but works, really works. What and how do you capture information, and how do you process it and monitor it? Think about GDPR. What is your members' idea of excellent service? If you don't know that, you're going to have to ask them. And how do you rate in terms of that? And have you taken the time to find it out? And how might you do this? Again, for Alma and Yulia, that's going to be really quite difficult, and you're going to have to work through that. But it's definitely worth doing. What is your current culture? We didn't really touch on this, but what's your current culture? What is at the core of it? And how do your members fit in with that culture? Do you benchmark yourself? Are there any states of excellence? I know we're 2 minutes over. Tony was going to talk very briefly about some...
We got another meeting.
You've got another meeting. Thank you. You're going to miss the music, but never mind. Bye.
Bye.
But perhaps, Tony, we could put some of those links in the follow-up email.
Yeah, so it's basically about data, benchmark data on production and on costs, and basically what everybody else is charging and what everybody else is what it's costing everybody else. That information is really hard to come by for Market Gardens, but there's some information out there, and I'll do a list I think, which I'll ask Anne-Marie to send around to the rest of you.
Which will be most useful, so that using that, you're kind of, yeah, how do you rate, what's your excellence that you can use to gain yourself more members? Yeah, we could have gone on for ages, I think. If you do have any further questions, please do email me. We do have a survey link that I've posted in there, if you wouldn't mind filling that out, and an evaluation form, which I'm just going to post in. And in true CSA webinar fashion, I'm going to play you out with some music. So I hope you can hear this, and I hope it's at the right point and it doesn't play an advert. Can you hear it? Thanks everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Do email with any queries. Thanks.